All right, hello, Miss Steele here. So this week we're talking about weaving, and we're going to make our own optical illusion weavings, just like this. So I'm going to set this aside. For this project, you want a few different things. You want a piece of white paper and a piece of colored paper, a ruler, pencil eraser, scissors, glue, and then something that you can use to decorate your white paper. And so I have markers for that today. So what we're going to do first is we're going to work on getting this white paper decorated. I think I'm just going to add a bunch of straight lines. You could add in shapes. You could draw something. That's kind of up to you. I think I'm going to use my black and white marker, and I'm going to make something that's abstract and kind of non-objective, which means that it's just going to be lines and designs. It's not going to be a picture of something. So sometimes art can just be things like lines. So I'm going to do the same thing with my purple marker because my colored paper that I'm using is purple, but you can use whatever colored paper you have or you want to use. So I'm going to go through and keep adding in some lines on here, just some straight lines going all the way around here. And then we are going to turn this into our loom. And a loom is something you weave onto, so it's what holds your weaving. All right. I am going to consider this done. I like it. I'm done. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to fold this in half like a card. Just like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my ruler, and right here on the end I'm going to use my ruler to draw a straight line like that. And it's about the width of my finger. So now that I have that, what I am going to do is I'm going to draw some curved, well not curved, but slanted lines. So I'm going to draw 1, 2, 3. And now I'm going to do, and if I can fit in one more, I might try to fit in one more right here. And now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to add 1, 2, 3. Actually, you know what? I think I am going to stick with 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I am going to stick with 3, so I'm going to erase this one. And now, while it's still folded, I could probably add one straight one right here down the middle. While it's still folded, I'm going to cut these lines. But I'm not going to cut through that white line that we drew on the end because we want this to stay together. So I'm just cutting on these lines, and I'm stopping once I hit that first line that we drew. Now I'm going to do the same thing over here on the other side. Now I can open this, and I'm actually going to set this over here. What I'm going to do with my colored paper is I'm going to use my ruler, because if you remember I said we needed a ruler earlier, and I'm going to line it up, and I'm going to make a bunch of straight lines. And I'm not going this way, I'm actually going this way. So I line up my ruler and make for sure I'm holding it down with one of my hands so it doesn't scoot around, and then I draw straight lines right next to each other, lining it up with the line before and then drawing my next. Once I have these all drawn, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them apart, and these are going to become my strips that I am going to weave into my project. So I'm going to get these all cut out, and then we will move on to our next step. Alright, so I have my strips cut. I want to get my glue open and ready because I'm going to be gluing as I go. And to weave, you follow an under-over pattern. So we cut this all up, and we have all these different areas where we can weave. So you want to go over, under for each one. And once you get it all the way through, you want to pull your strip all the way to the side as much as you can. And then what I do to make for sure it doesn't slip and slide is whenever I finish weaving a strip, I take my glue, if it'll let me, and I add just a dot of glue. And then I'm going to do it here on the top too. And this just makes sure that this doesn't slip around. And so what I'm going to do for my next one is, since I started over, I'm going to start under because I want it to look like a checkerboard. So if it doesn't look like a checkerboard, that lets you know that you may have forgotten to go over or under on one side. So if you see, I go over, under, but I actually messed up. So I went under. So I need to go back and fix that and go over, then under, and then over. And if you see, it'll end up kind of looking like a funky sort of checkerboard. I'm going to weave a few more to show you. And then I take my glue, I add a dot, and then a dot. So if you see, I started over, then I started under. So now I'm going to start over, going over and under for each of these. And once I have it all the way, I push it over because you want these right next to each other. You don't want any space. So if you can see, these are right next to each other. And then I'm going to add a dot of glue, and then a dot of glue. So I went over, under, over. So I know for this one I'm going to start under. And then I'm going to keep that same pattern of going over and under, starting different each time. So then I'm going to scoot it over just like that. So I'm going to keep weaving so we can get this finished. So I'm going to try to fit in as many more strips as I can, and then we'll look at it once we're on this half. But you can already see it's starting to look like a really cool square. Alright, friends, so I have my optical illusion weaving basically all done. If you see, I have a little bit of space on the end that I could cut a really thin strip if I wanted to and try to fit it in. But I think I'm going to consider this good. So what I like to do is I'll go through with my scissors and I'll trim off any loose ends that might be hanging off, just as my finishing touch. There won't be many, but you might have one or two that are kind of hanging off. And just like that, my optical illusion weaving is all finished. I can't wait to see how your projects come out, and I will see you all next time. Have a wonderful rest of your morning, your evening, your afternoon, whenever you're watching this. Bye.